Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
Like a panther.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file.
That doesn't sound too hard.
Boom! This is Making Tracks.
This is the way.
Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
I know these people. They are brutal. Does this look Jedi to you?
That's not how the Force works.
They'll never see it coming.
Count me in.
Lisa back.
You're listening to Making Tracks, and a very special episode as we return to the halls of Olympia for London Film and Comic Con back in July of 2024. Fantha Tracks were part of the Star Wars Zone once again, overseeing the second stage and chatting to numerous Star Wars guests across the weekend. First up in this episode, myself and Brian Cameron sat down with Julian Glover. Lucasfilm fans will know Julian well for his role as Walter Donovan in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and General Veers in The Empire Strikes Back, along with numerous other performances in James Bond, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter and much, much more. So here's myself and Brian chatting with Julian Glover.
Good to be here. Thanks for being here. Very complimentary. Thank you.
How is the show going for you so far?
It's been a brilliant day. Absolutely brilliant. I can't see anybody here who's bought my autograph. Three people. Why are you putting your hand to your face in embarrassment? No, it's being a very, very good one and unusually good.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't done this one for a couple of years, and I think that's an advantage for me today. So I've done well. So thank you all.
Do you enjoy
I'm still open.
Oh yeah, definitely still open. Do you enjoy the opportunity to?
You what?
Do you
I'll
enjoy?
tell you what we were going to do?
Yes, sir.
We're going to change places because
Is that the
my
better ear?
ear is much better.
That works for me. Plus, my seat's warm now.
These
so
things happen when you get to my age.
I'll ask that again. Is the opportunity to get face to face with people something you still enjoy to discuss your career and different things?
Well, yes. People sometimes say conventions must be very tiring. And I say, well, yes, they are. Particularly today, my hand is really feeling quite sore. It's difficult to hold the pen. But the best thing about these is that you do meet the punters. You meet the people who actually pay your wages. And everybody's terribly nice to you because they've come for your autograph, and they want to be nice to you because they want my autograph. And I really enjoy talking to some people, particularly when they bring their children. And the children are interested, not the ones who are embarrassed. I try to put the children who are embarrassed at their ease, but it's a very difficult thing because I'm a big man and I've got a big voice, and sometimes they go very shy. But I love talking to families, and but today I've had to be very careful about it because the queue has been so long. You don't want to hold up. Poor people were waiting there for half an hour already. You think, my God, it's going to be another half hour before they get here. So I'll have to be a bit careful today. But I've enjoyed the day. No, the sun's come out. God, it's supposed to be raining today.
You've been in a lot of different films and a lot of different franchises. Right now in 2024, what are you signing the most of? Is it Harry Potter? Is it Star Wars? Which one is it?
This always varies according to the one you go to. This has been completely unique, and I know why it is. Because Rupert Grint is here, and is there another Harry Potter person here?
Devon's here, isn't he? Yeah.
For the first time ever, I've signed a majority of Aragogs. That spider, which I was only the voice of. They have been the majority signing. I must have signed 100 today. And the annoying thing is that many years ago, with my signature, I did a little silly cartoon of the spider. which is just a blob with legs coming out of it. But it's a bit of an effort at the end when you've done all that Aragog and Julian Glover and all that. I've got to do it every single time. So today has been exhausting. All those fucking spiders I've had to...
Is that quite refreshing for it to be something different? Is it quite refreshing for it to be something different, like being more Potter, talking to those fans?
No, it's not refreshing, because it's all interesting. I'm very proud of my body of work, and I've been doing it for a long time. And when people want my autograph, it's such a compliment. It shows that, it's a big thing to say, but it shows your life has been worthwhile if you're touching people. And I've touched a lot of people in my career, and what a great honor it has been to do so. As I say again, you're the ones who pay my money, so God bless you all. And I'm still open.
Sorry. Of those characters, to people who might not know your body of work, your complete body of work, there's certain characters that are prominent, let's say, that would bring people to a convention like this. But of the characters that you've played, out of everybody you've played, you say you've touched a lot of people with your performances, but which performance has touched you the most, that's stuck with you the most?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because I'm primarily a theatre actor. I've just been tremendously lucky in that I've done these major big franchise movies as well as my theatre work. I should say that King Lear in the theatre was but it wasn't my favourite. I've had quite a lot of favourites in the theatre, and which I remember with great affection, which I won't bother you with. Films, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is certainly my favourite major film. It's a fantastic part, and what a death, and it's pretty good. Oh, I've got a story for you. Some of you may have heard it. When we were preparing for that film, I was pulled off up to Pinewood to their modelling office, and they made like a death mask of my face out of plaster of Paris, so that they could work on it on the death scene, getting older and older and older. And it had various stages of bits of rubber and things that I put on over my face. And it was quite a complicated thing. And by the time they'd finished with that and they'd gone on to the model on the floor, I looked about 284. And so we finished the film, and the props department came up and said, "We don't want this. Do you want it?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, thanks very much. Good memento." I went home, went through the door. Good, finished the movie now, darling. It's all wrapped up. And look what I've got. And she said, "Christ, Julian, that's horrible. That's really horrible." I said, "I know, but no, it's hot." She said, "Put it in the garage." Being an obedient husband, I did so. A few weeks later, months later, we were clearing out the garage, as one does, and I found this in the corner. I said, "Oh, look, still got this thing." She said, "Julian, it is disgusting. I can't, bin it, get it out of the house." So, being an obedient husband, I did the same. About 3 years later, I was in America, Atlanta, I think it was, and I was talking with one of the dealers, and I told him this story. And he said, "You binned it. You put it in the trash." I said, "Yes, I did." My wife, she said, "Julian, if you had that with you now, I'll give you $35,000 for it." Never throw anything away.
Hi, this is Guy Henry, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks. Enjoy.
You mentioned Indiana Jones and a character like Walter Donovan. Was it fun to play based on, the wide scope of his story across the film, from starting out as effectively Indiana Jones's friend, to being an American Nazi, to almost turning his back on the Nazis for his own end goals.
Well, he didn't turn his back on the Nazis. He took on the Nazis because he wanted the money they could give to him. I rather liked him as a character.
Yeah.
And I always say, what wouldn't you do for the secret of eternal life? No, you kill your mother. And I don't exaggerate. It's a big old step, having eternal life. Mind you, the argument about whether you want eternal life or not, whether anybody wants eternal life, what a nightmare that would be. But that's another argument. But Walter Donovan wanted that secret, and well, he got it. He's the only person, in fact, in movie history to have shot Sean Connery dead. Then the bugger comes back to life again.
That was such a hit film. I think it was the biggest hit film worldwide of '89, and you get to work with Spielberg, who's a legend in the business. How was he to work with and work for?
Absolutely wonderful. Spielberg is so in love with the cinema. He uses every possible source he can to inform his own films. Several times, when doing it, he'd ask me to do something. I can't remember anything now. So, why am I doing that, Steve? And he said, don't worry about it. Spencer Tracy did it in such and such a film, and I'd just like to have it in my movie, and because he knew films that well. He knew how to do everything on the set. The only thing he didn't know how to do was act. And he said that. And that's why he was a great admirer of actors, particularly, I hope, good ones who would could understand his direction and do what they were told. Has great charm, wonderful sense of humor, is so kind to everybody on the set. Quite often he'd take over the camera and do all that himself. Or he'd put the lights up and say, no, I want that, not quite getting it, I want this. He'd get up the ladder and do it himself. He is everything you want in a film director, is Steven Spielberg. And I think that's why all his films are simply outstanding. Even the ones that aren't so good are terribly good.
So when you're an actor and you're working for a director like Spielberg, do you need, as an actor, do you need to understand exactly what he wants, or do you just need to have the confidence that he knows what he wants and he's getting that from you?
Well, most directors, of course, talk to you and the other actors in the scene about what he wants from the scene, and he'll vaguely indicate, you run through it with the text, and he'll vaguely indicate where you want to walk, and then what happens after that is that the crew come in with their cameras and their lights and the sound departments, and they all fix exactly, would you mind moving a bit that way, don't stand in front of so-and-so, if you could come forward for that bit, or will you keep that bit in profile, and they work out all those things and put marks on the floor for where you're going to work, and then you have another talk with the director, and he says, let's have a go now. And any good director hasn't required you to act at full level at that point. You've marked it, and hopefully you've learned it. I have known some actors who don't learn it, and they think it's all right to wing it, but that's another question. Then you get onto the set and they say, okay, we're going to do the first one. And it's after all that preparation. And you know by that time exactly what the director would like from the scene, but it's now up to you to interpret that in your own way. So that's what makes me a different actor from Sean Connery, for instance, because I hope I achieve the same effect of the thing director wants, but I'm me and I'm not Sean Connery, and he will do the same with me. So that's the short very long answer to your question.
And is he the most exacting director? And by that I mean,
No.
He's got a style. You can't mistake Spielberg for
No.
anybody else.
There are certain things he requires, like silly things, like you walk like Spencer Tracy. Yeah. But within that, he lets the actor run. But if at the end of a take he finds that's not right or that's lovely, he'll say, that was terrific, Jules. But before that, at that moment, it's sit down, you're sitting down too fast. Yeah. Or you look as if you're going to burst into tears here, Julian. You're supposed to be happy. Like any good director will do, but he knows what he wants from the scene, but he leaves the actors to do it, which is, well, I would have thought quite sensible, really.
I would ask about Beowulf. Sorry? About Beowulf, because it's been a role that you're so associated with.
Sorry, the what? Beowulf.
Yeah.
Beowulf is does anybody know what it is? You do. For those who don't, it's the oldest poem in the English language, but it's not the language we know. It's in the Old English, which is completely, well, not completely, but pretty well as different as French and German are different. And I performed it. I did an adaptation for it for the stage, and it's an hour and a half of me talking, and I use a lot of the Old English in it, which gives it flavour and taste. And I have to say it's been quite a monument. What was going to be your question?
Well, when you spoke about what a director looks for you in a role, I associate your voice so much with that poem. Yeah.
He associates your voice with that poem.
And I wondered what attracted you to that poem, because it's something you've returned to.
Any time?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It would take me about a week to get it together again now. But there was a time when I could have quoted you from any. I've been doing it for about 15 years and 20 years. And it's an extraordinary piece. If you know it, you'll know it's an amazing piece. But trouble is, it's been too universitied. It's now a subject. Did you do it at university? Or do you just know it? And it's now become, oh my God, we've got to do Beowulf. And one of my ideas was to make it accessible to people to realize what a major work of writing it is. And there's only one copy of it in the British Museum now. And it was nearly burnt about 50 years ago. There was a fire, and it's still singed at the edges. Is that only copy of Beowulf? And within it, I do a lot of characterizations, of course, but it's only me. I use no sound effects, no lighting effects. In fact, the last time I did it, about 4 years ago, when I decided that I was too old and I must put it to bed. And my son said, "Can I have it?" And in the fashion of being a butcher or baker, J. Glover Limited Butcher, in those days, I think it happens a lot now, the storyteller, called the scop, would take over from his father, and his son would take over from him and his list of stories, which he'd have lots of, and go from house to house to house doing those stories. Anyway, to finish it off, I took the little theatre at the Globe Theatre, which is a beautiful little theatre which doesn't have any electric lighting in it, only candles. And I took that for Sunday, and I did the show in the afternoon, which went fine. In the evening, I did the show, and Beowulf, our great hero, dies about 10 minutes before the end of the story. And in this particular performance, I died on stage when I'd normally go die for a little while and then carry on with the story. But on this occasion, I died on stage, and my son was in the audience, and he picked up the story and walked onto the stage telling the story. I tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was such an extraordinary, unexpected moment for everybody, except for us two. So it was a lovely way to say goodbye to the show. Jamie hasn't had the chance to do it yet. Thank God he's too busy. Hasn't had the chance to learn it, because it took me a year to learn.
That's wonderful. We've been giving it the wrap-up sign, but thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful hearing from you. Julian Glover, everyone.
Thank you. Bless your heart.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
Second today, it's Tracy Eddon and Wayne Michaels. Tracy and Wayne are stunt acting legends. Tracy was the very first female stormtrooper in Star Wars, appearing in Return of the Jedi. She also performed as C-3PO falling off the sail barge. Wayne is best known for his stunt at the very opening of GoldenEye, where he ran down the dam. Incredible people with amazing stories. Myself and Mark Mulcaster sat down with Tracy and Wayne to discuss their amazing careers.
Right, we're back on the second stage, London Film and Comic Con on Sunday. We're here with Wayne and Tracy. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. It's going to be fun. I'm going to let Mark start.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. I love doing this on the show.
That's why he's giving me the cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So let's start off with let's have a quick chat then with Wayne, Mr. Wayne Michaels. You are a stuntman. You were in Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, when you're not.
Yep.
Batman.
Batman. Yes.
Batman. Yeah. And my favourite, and for me anyway, GoldenEye, with that iconic opening stunt where you're on top of the dam and you do a bungee jump down. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that all come about? Was that something that you were approached to do, or was that just something that was in the script and then it was just kind of you asked to do it?
Well, I was well known in the industry for doing lots of high work, so I would do lots of high falls and lots of dangerous high stunts. So it was natural that they came to me because I had done lots of that sort of high work before.
Yeah.
So they came to me quite quickly to talk about how best to do it.
So had there been much kind of, had there been many kind of like actual kind of bungee jumps in films before that? You know, was that something that was like, because obviously with James Bond they tend to do...
No, not really, and we were contemplating doing it in all sorts of different ways. It ended up that way because of how Martin Campbell wanted to shoot it.
Yeah.
But no, not really.
Cool. Okay. And how did you find? You know, was it a long process? Did it take a lot of planning to do that, or was the actual kind of? It looks like a fairly complicated stunt because obviously you stood right on the edge and you almost looks like you're going to lean over, but clearly you're not. And you go. And was there a lot of planning involved in that, or?
Yeah, the problem we had with the stunt was that you can't see it on the footage, but the wall is made up of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of metal poles that stick out of the wall. And the problem we had was missing the wall, me not hitting and getting shredded by all of these metal construction posts, which you don't actually see in the footage. And then the wall is concave, so you're much more likely to hit it the lower
you go.
the further you jump. So that causes some problems, and we were meant to have a very sophisticated dummy to use to do some test drops.
Right.
And in the great tradition of the film industry, the test dummy never turned up. So we're left there, and you know, it's a very expensive sequence to shoot, and we had to cut a tree and throw that off.
Oh wow.
So it was very funny, you know, vast amounts of money was spent on this sequence, and there we were cutting a tree in two, throwing that off and trying to work out whether this was going to work or not.
Yeah.
So it was quite amusing.
Yeah. I mean, you can still actually do that bungee jump today. So
yes, it's not the same jump, but yes, in principle, there is a similar jump they try and do. Yeah.
Ever thought about going back and doing it?
No. my career was, as a professional stunt performer.
Yeah.
So everything was very based on, you would get contracted and you would agree a contract with a fee, and, your career moved around the globe doing that.
Gotcha.
So it was rare for you to go back and do something unless, it went wrong.
Yeah. So obviously, Tracy, you've just said you've objected that, and because you two are married, aren't you? So.
Only just. Yeah.
Only just. Since 1990, I think it is? Yeah. So it's a fair few years.
Together 43.
There you go. 43 years together. That's fantastic.
I'm keeping him for a bit longer.
So did you guys meet on set, or how did you two meet?
We met when Wayne was training to be a stuntman.
And I cannot really, in a public domain, explain how we met. Okay. Suffice to say that Tracy can be quite shocking, and we met in London when I was living in London, and we got introduced by another stunt guy.
Right. Yeah.
And
Nick Gillard, give him a mention.
Nick Gillard, who did the stunt.
Yeah, Phantom Menace. Yeah.
And Nick and I knew each other from Circus. We worked together in a travelling show. And he introduced us socially, and Tracy was actually dating someone else, weren't you?
I was living with someone else.
And so we were just very social, just friends.
Yeah.
And then I was doing a medieval jousting show about 6 months, 12 months later, I think. And I called Tracy up, and I was stupid enough to say, "Oh, Tracy, I hear you've broken up with your boyfriend. Would you like to go out?" And her response was something like,
I felt like, and what's it got to do with you?
And we then went out, and I was given a very clear message not to go anywhere near her.
Right.
And we went out for dinner, and that was it, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I said I'll go out with you just as friends.
Friends. Yeah.
And that was about
not
81.
With benefits, not with benefits.
That was about 1981.
Yeah. So you guys worked together quite a bit then over the course of your career?
Yeah, we did a lot of work together, and interestingly, when I was coordinating, the female stunt double was always Tracy.
Right, convenient. Yeah.
So she could work, but she was sleeping with a stunt coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, the film industry is built on nepotism, really, isn't it? So, that's fair enough.
Actually, we did a bungee jump together. We were meant to be making love in a dangerous place. It was a TV show. Do you remember that?
Yeah. But no, seriously, we worked together a lot because Tracy was very, very good.
Yeah.
She was very, very gutsy and was a great performer. So it was just, I was very lucky that I could pull her in on a job, and I always knew that I could trust her, and she was always really very, very good at her job.
And I suppose that's probably the biggest and most important thing, isn't it, really, with stunt work, is the trust in the crew around you, trust in the stunts. So I guess having that deeper relationship is going to just benefit like the work that you're able to do. But does that then, did you kind of start to then worry or get more concerned about maybe the health?
Yeah, what happened was that we had it was Carly.
We have.
Right, no. Well, we had two daughters.
Right, yeah.
Both who are stunt women now, and it got to the point where we were working such a lot that we realised that the children weren't saying how wonderful it is we don't see you and you're earning lots of money. It was, where's my mum?
Right.
And we decided that because my work was particularly dangerous, that Tracy agreed to slow her work down because we realised that if one of us got badly injured, that was bad enough.
Yeah.
But if both of us got seriously injured, and what happened, we worked in Wales on a picture, and Tracy had to get, someone was jumping off a rock face, side of a cliff, and taking her out on a horse on the side of this cliff, and then the horse is pulled over and they all go down the cliff face.
Right.
And it went wrong and she was knocked out, and they're carrying her off the cliff face, taking her to hospital in an ambulance. And in the great tradition of the film industry, of course, what they do is they strip the costume off you because they have to keep shooting.
Yeah.
You know, there's no, you know, they don't really care. It's just where next shot. And it was at that point that we thought we'd better stop. One of us needs to stop.
Sure.
And so Tracy cut her work down a great deal, and I carried on because, you know, you've got kids and you just can't risk. For your children.
Exactly, I completely understand. Yeah. And Tracy, you were, you know, before you kind of did slow down, you were in Star Wars. You stunt double for Carrie Fisher in Return of the Jedi. And that?
I was.
Yeah. And there's that famous photo, isn't there, of you and Carrie in the gold bikini sunbathing.
Yeah,
Do you want to tell us a bit about
George took that. George Lucas took that photo, and as he snapped that picture, I woke up. And I remember I said to Carrie, "Oh, pervert," like that. And she started to laugh. And then he took another photo of us laughing. And there's a photo of that iconic one of us laughing. And that's what we're laughing at because I called him a pervert. Which he's not, of course. It's just a joke.
But, you know, and you were pretty busy on Return of the Jedi because you were the Slave Leia stunt double and you doubled for C-3PO as well.
C-3PO, yes. I arrived in the morning and I was told that I was C-3PO's double. And I argued that I was not because I was Carrie's double because I did not want to wear that outfit. We were in the desert in Yuma, Arizona. And that should have been Dickie Beer. That was his job. And they said that, no, he can't get the costume on because it was rubber. The stunt costume was rubber. And, you know, there were no zips or anything. There's no fasteners. You had to be able to pull it up over your hips. And he couldn't get it on. So I got the job because I was smaller than him. And I was not happy.
I bet, yeah. Because, I mean, Arizona says pretty hot. And
it was boiling.
Yeah. So was that C-3PO costume like a stunt costume? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you did before it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Anthony Daniels, I think, was the guy.
That's right.
Maybe his costume was metal. I actually don't remember because I didn't wear his costume. But mine was certainly rubber.
Rubber, yeah. So you bounced a bit.
Well, it didn't make me bounce, but it was a bit more comfortable than wearing metal. And the bikini wasn't metal either. That was, I don't know, made of something rubbery, but it wasn't that comfortable. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Stormtrooper. Oh, well, so what about the Stormtrooper? Because you were also a Stormtrooper in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, the white outfit.
The white costume.
Yes, that was another thing I wasn't supposed to be doing. They didn't have enough on the day, so they said, "Tracy, you're a Stormtrooper." And again, I was like, "No, it's not my job." And I think we were supposed to have been about 5'8", and I'm only 5'4", so I'm like this little short Stormtrooper, which they kind of hid in the background a lot.
Yeah. On Forest Moon of Endor, so in the big battle scenes, is that right? With Redwood Forest? Is that where you were?
Yes, we were in the Redwoods in San Francisco? No, not San Francisco. The Redwoods in California, North California.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you were the first, I think, confirmed female Stormtrooper in the original Star Wars trilogy, which is fantastic.
So they can't see if you're male or female in those outfits.
No.
But your father was a Stormtrooper as well, wasn't he?
He wasn't in the white outfit, no, he was... Oh God! What are the good ones called?
The Rebels.
He was a rebel, and actually,
okay.
there's a really. I've got it on my phone. Actually, I've got a picture of him.
Okay.
He does a very big close-up in the very first Star Wars film, and I think then they all get shot.
Because both her parents were stunt people.
Oh really?
So, my mum
and dad were.
Yeah, my mum is the rat. She's Regis the rat in the weird, funny animal bar scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You can't see it's her because she's got this rat head.
No, so that's fantastic.
She does come to these things sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So now you're you're second generation stunt, and then your daughters are obviously third generation.
Third generation. Yeah.
Do they work on Star Wars? Have they worked on any Star Wars?
No.
Yeah, they have.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, both of them. The newer ones. Don't ask me which ones, but yeah, they've worked on the Star Wars movies.
Fantastic.
But our youngest daughter, unfortunately, she got badly hurt on Game of Thrones, so that has ended her career. But so, you know, she was very, very talented kid.
Yeah.
But it's the perils of the job, I'm afraid.
I guess so. Yeah.
In the world of stunts, what's the most important thing? Because it strikes me, from what Mark said, let's say that GoldenEye jump, loads of prep, you're getting ready for it. I know you took the tree off to make sure it worked, but there's lots of prep goes into it. I'm guessing there's physics and all sorts of stuff. The guts to do it, is the guts the nerve to do it at all, or is the guts to have the nerve to, when something goes wrong, there's that big percentage gap of, I don't quite know what's going to happen? Is that where the nerve comes in? You've got to trust the process to a degree, but is the nerves to go, I'm going to do it even if there's that percentage
No,
of doubt?
people, I can only speak for myself. My career was based on really a very business-like relationship in that you agreed a contract, you knew what you were agreeing to, you agreed a fee, and so it was very logical and business-like for me, rather than, thinking about the fear. It was very much that you knew what you were doing, and you should be competent enough to be able to achieve that. The most dangerous part of the stunt is having the strength to say no to a director who has no idea what they're doing when it comes to stunts, and they want to push you into an area that you are going to get injured. So you have to be very strong on
That's
the floor.
interesting. Yeah. Is that a situation that comes up a lot where there's an unreasonable request made of you're coordinated, so it's your team as well. When something's asked, it's like, that's not something we can do.
No, the biggest risks are on the day, everything's been planned, and suddenly the director will suddenly say, that's got to change, this has got to move, you've got to do something over there, and then suddenly all the prep and rehearsal has gone completely out the window, and just those minor timings are out, and suddenly it becomes, you're going to end up in hospital.
Yeah. And that's where, I guess, I don't know the process, but I guess that's where a coordinator will be the guy that steps forward and says,
well, if you're a competent performer, that's where you stand your ground and you say, no.
Yeah.
And then you have a rip-roaring argument, and you have to stand your ground and be very strong.
Hi, I'm Duncan Poe, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
And how quick sometimes I'm guessing you have to pivot pretty quick if there's a request made to work things out, or is it a process when you just have to step back and say that's just not a doable thing?
It does depend on the sequence, but invariably you will hear about most people getting injured because something has been changed at the last minute, and that has altered everything.
Yeah.
And it can be a very, very small change, but that will transform it from being something that you're going to go home in the evening or you're going to go to hospital.
That's a big responsibility, isn't it?
It's massive.
It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. Because the list of films and shows that you've been is epically long, both of you. And I know that some stunts, obviously, like GoldenEye, are very kind of massive and they're kind of a main part of a film or a highlight. But is there like a specific stunt or something that you've done that you're really most proud of that may have just most people would have maybe just not noticed, would have just slipped by or something? Is there any kind of
people ask similar questions like that, or they ask, what is the most dangerous stunt that you've ever done? The problem that we have is that my work started in, let's say, 81, after my time in circus, and I didn't stop for 30, 35 years.
Sure.
Stunting from one job to the other. There were times where I didn't even know what part of the country I was in or what part of the world I was in. So you would travel and travel and travel and stunt, and it just went day in, day out. And so you tended to really think that the best stunt was the last one you did, as long as you didn't end up getting injured. And you lose track of really remembering how dangerous some of them were, because it was a profession. And so, you would look at it as a profession, and you would look at the risk professionally, and I didn't really decipher it as risk. I would decipher it as, am I able to do this? Can I achieve it? Can I negotiate the contract? Can I get paid? Can I get home in the evening? It was a different vision you had, really.
So you look at each stunt, I don't know how many stunts would be in an average film. I don't know, pick an Indiana Jones film, from my head you're thinking 20, 30 stunts, whatever. Do you look at each individual thing as its own little project?
Yeah, and you have different memories for different stunts. We're working with different people. So, for example, I remember I was on a Raiders film. I was quite young, and inexperience. And Vic Armstrong, who was the coordinator, I don't remember which Raiders it was, but he left the set and he left me in charge with Spielberg and Harrison.
Yeah.
And I remember Harrison had to do a jump. He had to swing through a glass window and land in a room. And Spielberg and Harrison had me on set asking me whether Harrison could do it. And I said no, because if he gets injured, you know, you're going to be in big trouble. If he gets it wrong, the window wasn't that large and he hits his head or his face or something. And, you know, I remember that sequence because Harrison was really pissed off.
Right. Yeah.
And I said the fatal words I said to him, well, Harrison, you know, I don't think Vic will want you to do this. And he said, I think I know Vic Armstrong better than you. And he was really pissed off.
Yeah.
So I remember the sequence because he was very unhappy.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you have to just dig your heels in and go out? You had to dig your heels in a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, because it was on my call. If he went through that window and got it wrong, you know,
it's on you.
The shit hits the fan.
Yeah. And did that happen often? Because you get actors who seem quite up for it, but you've got to be practical, I guess, as well.
Yeah, and you know, you get a lot of people in the industry, you know, who say they want to do it, but they're desperately hoping that you're going to stop them from doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's everyone's ego. You know, you don't want to upset someone's ego.
Yeah.
So, you know, you gently let them down, and they act as if they're really unhappy, but actually they're very happy because they go back to their Winnebago.
Yeah.
You know, and
watch you on the monitor.
Yeah, while someone else takes the risk, which is very sensible.
And are you guys film fans? Because you've both been in these, like Mark said, ridiculous roster of films, like iconic films. But are you film fans? Does that make sense? Because you're intrinsic to the film, but are you fans of film?
No, the problem that I have is that you get so intimate and get so involved that you lose some of the romanticism about it, because you know, you see the other side of it, all the technical problems and the, you know, the things that go wrong and the issues that you have, the things that you think you could have done better. So I was saying to some of the people who came up for my autograph, when they watched GoldenEye, I said, have you ever looked at my hands just before I leap off the dam? And they say, no, what are you talking about? And I said, well, it's on the big screen. If you look really carefully, right at the bottom, you can see my hands are holding on to two cables. And the two cables are connected to weights. And as I leap, I let go of the cables, the weights drop, and then I fly off the dam. And the reason we had to do that was because of the way they wanted me to shoot it and the way they wanted me to be positioned. And you couldn't actually stand on the top of that dam without hanging on to something, because you would just unceremoniously fall off and kill yourself. And to get the leap out so that you could get away from the wall, you had to position yourself at an angle that you could really take off and make the distance. And no one sees it. If you watch it carefully, you'll see it.
I know you'll be watching that carefully.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, until we spoke earlier on, I didn't know.
The hand goes like that, and then you see a cable drop.
Right. Okay.
I suppose the difference is that we're watching you do your stunts in Jedi, and we're not supposed to think it's you. We're supposed to think that's Carrie Fisher. We're supposed to think that's Pierce Brosnan or whatever. Yeah. So you're not looking for yourselves in that sense, are you? It's a different view.
It is clever how they cut from one to the other.
Yeah.
But you can see it's Wayne, because before he dives off the dam, there's a top shot.
Yeah.
I could see it's him, because your hair's thicker than Pierce's.
Well, it was.
It was.
Yeah. But you know, for us, I mean, the other side for us is when I was doing the dam jump, you know, as I was taking off, just before I was taking off, and you know, you hear all the cameras up to speed, and there's like about 18 cameras, and they're all going, you know, camera one, speed. You're hearing the whizzing of the motors of the cameras. In those days, you know, it wasn't digital, and you know, you're just cluing yourself into the action of what you've got to do and how you've got to maneuver in position and get into the right spot at the right time for the crane to come over. All this you're working out and not making it look like that. And then I get in position, and all I can see in the distance is the paramedics with the paramedic helicopter and a big red cross on the floor where they had to take me if it all went wrong.
Right. Wow.
And then just as I'm about to take off, the Italian crane operator does the famous that. So that's what we see.
Yeah.
You know, it's different.
Never see.
It's a different perspective.
Very much.
What about when they pulled you up and you had those sunglasses on?
Oh, I don't know whether you've got time for that story.
Go on, quick. We've got time for a minute, Evan. Yeah. Of course we have.
So the second unit director I knew very well. I'd worked on loads of stuff with him. And so I thought I would really upset him we did the second jump and we only just made the jump in time before we lost the light on the dam. And they're thrilled. They've checked all 18 cameras, they've got it, they're like, thank Christ, because otherwise they won't get the shot. And I get on, I've got a radio, carrying a radio with me, and I get on and I say, Ian, do you think they noticed I was wearing my sunglasses? And I put my sunglasses on.
Yeah.
And Ian, there's silence, and he's gone, what the? And he's now screaming at the continuity woman. The continuity woman is like, what the fuck? I never noticed he was wearing sunglasses. And they're now thinking, what are they going to say to the Broccolis and, you know, Michael Wilson, that they let me jump with my sunglasses on? I put the sunglasses on afterwards. And
very good.
So that was
well played. Well played.
Anyway.
No, just one more thing. The Sound of Music is my favourite film.
We needed to know that. I was going to ask what was your favourite film, Michael?
Oh,
Wayne.
I can't stand the Sound of Music.
Brilliant. Fantastic. That's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Email radio@fanthatracks.com. Head to links.fanthatracks.com for links to our social media feeds, Fantha Tracks TV and Fantha Tracks Radio. Thanks to James Semple for the Fantha Tracks intro, Blues Harvest for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 o'clock UK time. Our weekly news show, Good Morning Tatooine, goes live Sundays at 9 o'clock UK time on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, Fantha Tracks is absolutely free, so it costs nothing to stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's another episode of Making Tracks.